What is up, party people? Hope all is well as you. Happy New Year. Uh it was horror. Let's call it what it is from jump. And vile, disgusting, horror. And it's not a surprise. So, for many of you guys who listen to my show, you guys know that I do a lot of radio, a lot of it. And so, with my new station out here in Nashville, while I've been off on my national show, I've done some shows there. And for the last couple days that I've been on, I've been saying, there is something coming. There is something coming. There is something coming. I understand this. I talk to people. I've been in this business long enough to know, getting information from people that there is something freaking coming. And I started following her months ago. And I will tell you guys this. If you don't know who Sarah Adams is, she's amazing. She works with Sean Ryan, and she was on his podcast, former CIA. But a few months ago, she started talking about this, and I kept saying, pay attention, because we're watching what's happening in Europe. We're seeing what's going on in Europe. We're seeing the things that are taking place in Europe. And if we're not going to get our heads out of our ass, bad things are going to come here in ways that we could not believe. And lo and behold, this happened today. Now, this guy, born here, raised here, dude's a hot mess. Thank God he wasn't competent. As awful and disgusting, as vile as what he did, an act of terror where he is rotting in hell. The reality is the competency wasn't there. And he may have been inspired, but the fear of what I think is coming is what she talked about a few months ago. And it is terrifying for sure. And I mean, I'm telling you guys, the reality of what we have coming, the fact that we've got so many dangerous people that over the last 4 freaking years almost, we've allowed anybody to come in here. But Chad, this guy was as an American. I understand that. Think about people that are hardened. Think about people that have trained under Al-Qaeda, ISIS, all these other groups who have come here, used our absolute kindness to us over, because that's what they want. And that's what they're going to do, because we've allowed too much crap to happen. You see what's going on in Europe. You see what is happening in Europe. You see the amount of insanity, because the culture of which they come from wants no part of whatever the West has, whatever it has to offer. They like the stuff? Sure. Free money? They'll take it. Freedoms for the guys? They got more freedoms where they come from, because they can do whatever they want. Maybe the women might like it, but the guys? But the reality is they don't want what we have to offer. They don't. And it's terrifying. So this is Sarah Adams on just a couple months ago, and it is incredible. Her talking about all of this stuff. You need to listen.
We have not had a man walk into a building with a suicide vest on the United States. Americans don't understand this. Al-Qaeda knows this, right? So this is new and innovative, especially now. You don't have to walk upside of the building. You can walk in the building because of the advancement of the vest. The other thing is, in the United States, we haven't had Fedayeen attackers. So the concept is the terrorist fights to the death. So he's not exactly a suicide bomber, but he will fight till either all of us are dead or all of his people are dead. We think it's going to be a swarming attack, right? Multiple different attacks at one time across multiple cities. We think there will be suicide bombers just because some of the attackers went through suicide bomber training and they have these vests. And then we think there's these Fedayeen attackers who will carry on until they're killed.
You just rephrase that. So these guys are trained and they are going to fight until they're killed.
Yes, and that matters, right? So I was watching this video, and it was a suicide bombing in Kabul years ago. The bomber blew up, and then everyone starts moving in. The first responders move in, right? And then another guy walks in and blows up. We know this is a tactic. But if Americans don't understand this as a tactic and don't understand these attackers are going to fight to the death, think about that. Battle's going on. The attacker surrenders. He might have the suicide vest. You know, we let our guard down. That man came to die, right? He's going to fight till he dies or you die. So we can't let our guards down, and they know our weakness. So we have to be very careful that we don't have more people die in these second and third order effects of not knowing their intent.
And that's what it is. Not knowing the intent, not knowing what it is that they want to do. Like, like, oh my God, they're here to kill as many as possible. That's it. And there are how many of them here? Now, if you watch the whole thing, and I advise you to Sarah, go watch the whole thing. Ryan's always great. But Sean Ryan's always great, but go watch the whole thing. And I'll tell you why. It's terrifying because I feel like she is telling people things that we should know. But we have spent God knows how much time and effort saying that the person who is pro-life may be, somebody who's going to blow up an abortion clinic and then run into the woods, right? Like we're focusing on the wrong things because we don't want to hurt somebody's feelings. We don't want to come across as racist, Islamophobic. You know what? Let's just be honest. Okay, this is what we're looking for. We know exactly what it is. Yeah, there's a bunch of crackers out there who would like to do some horrible things. Yeah, there's a bunch of people out there that would love to do horrible things of all makes and models. But the reality is, when it comes to something like this, we know what it is that we're looking for. We know what it is that is the real issue when it comes to the violence that they want to bring. It is not something where it is a one-off incel lunatic who couldn't get a date, can't get laid, never been to the prom. It's not that cat. No, that cat's a bad cat too. We don't want anything to do with him. We don't want him to do it with guns. But the fact that she's talking about 1,000 to 1,500 ISIS and Al-Qaeda fighters, mostly Al-Qaeda, but ISIS as well. And ISIS wants the big body count. Al-Qaeda wants to, as she talks about, they want to make a statement, right? Like they want to blow up stuff that's very American. Like they want to blow up something. It's the biggest flag in the world and it's on top of a giant monster truck. I want to blow it up because it's very American. Where ISIS just wants to kill a whole bunch of folks. And it's terrifying. And we need to pay attention more and more because we've gotten back into that sense of, well, we're not trying to nation build anymore. We're not trying to do that stuff anymore. We're getting on with our lives. We're okay. No. It is not about whether or not we stay out of everybody's way or nation build. It doesn't mean any of that crap. There's a certain group of folks out there who are hell-bent on imposing their will on people like you and I and everybody else if given the opportunity. They have a hatred, not only of this country, but of what you and I and everybody else stand for. Love and freedom and liberty and all. It's crazy. Because you think, who wants to live like it's the 6th century? But they do. And we've got to figure this out, and we've got to come at it in a real way. Are you saying everybody who's of the Islamic faith is? No, you dumbass. We can be honest, can't we? Right? Like we can be honest. I mean, it's, because the first thing that happens overnight is what? This happens. Everybody goes, we got to find out what his political thing is. Was this a MAGA person? Because if it's a MAGA person, was it wait, hold on. Was it crazy lefty? That's who blew up, the Tesla thing. Or maybe it's somebody who hates everything that we stand for in the West. And Europe is getting a bigger snapshot because it's easier in Europe, right? You've allowed them to come over here, to Europe, and you've allowed them to do whatever the hell they want to do. Oh, you come here and it's great. We'll just integrate everybody. They don't want to integrate. They want to live the lives the way that they want to live. They want to have their own laws. They want to live their lives the way it is. And by the way, at some point in time, they want you to bow down to them. And there's a push, and they've allowed this stuff to happen. And they, in Europe, have just been, they don't know what to do. It's a little different here, right? Got a bigger plan because we're the bigger beast, if you will. So what do we do? How do we do it? Right? You got to pick those soft targets. That's number one. But you also have to recognize the fact that, some places the targets may not be so soft. Tell my wife, I said, well, let's be real. The South is a little different, right? Because you come to the South, you're like, everybody's healed, so we got to be careful. But there's no doubt, like last night, here I am, and I was talking to my producer, my local show, Bell, and Ken, the news director. We were chatting, and I'm like, first of all, I don't want to go anywhere. There's 200,000 people. There was about 200,000 people out here last night. We had Jelly Roll and Keith Urban and Blake Shelton and all these people. I've no desire to do any of that. And I said on the radio the last 2 days, the fear I have is being in one of these situations where you're stuck and you have no idea what's coming behind you, and somebody's there to do serious damage. Their goal is to kill. They know they're dying, and they're okay with that. Can they take you with them? And that's a terrifying thing. And I don't want to start the year off talking about this. The reality is, I think we're going to unfortunately have more of these. And I've been saying it for the last couple months. The intuition from the people, first of all, the people I'm talking to, but on top of that, the gut intuition that there is something bigger, something coming, something that feels very like was this the Cole? Do you guys remember that? The Cole happened before 9/11. But one of the things she talks about is Al-Qaeda participated in a major way when it came to Hamas. And Hamas and the attack on Israel was not only a precursor, it was kind of a dry run. It's like, we'll see what we can do. And it is just sickening. It's can we all get along? No, we can't. We can't. Because some of you don't want to get along. Some of you want no part of what the West, and I'm not just talking about America, I'm talking about all of the West, has to offer. You don't want the freedoms. You don't want to integrate into the society. You don't want to be a part of whatever it is. You want to be what you were from where you came, and to bring your customs and live your life in theory, quietly in some cases in other countries, on other people's dimes. And then the other side of it, which is the unfettered access that everybody's had when it's come to our immigration. And I tell you what, if I'm Trump, day one, am I putting in Remain in Mexico and all that stuff? Oh, you bet your candy ass I am. But the other thing I'm doing is I'm telling my people in the know, you get every head of every cartel on the phone to any one of my people. And this would be essentially, hey, you're going to try to sneak people in here. We get that, right? It's the game that everybody plays. And you've used our laws. You made a lot of money, et cetera, et cetera. Okay. The rule has changed. We're going to do everything we can to stop you with that. But if we find out that you have helped anybody get into this country and you've used your coyote skills to do so, and you knew full well what they were coming to do, then we're going to effing destroy you. We're going to treat it as an act of war, and we'll come across the border as we see fit at that time, because you've allowed and enabled people to come into our country that you knew were going to do damage. And then on the other side of it, you say, look, maybe you tell us, maybe you give us a heads up that, hey, we've got 6 or 7 guys over here. They're X or they're Y and they're Z. They've come from, God knows what a stand, and they're coming over here and they want to do damage and they want to do this. We're just letting you guys know. Well, that's a different story. But it's one of those things where you've got to start playing a different game, because this administration in particular, and is what, first of all, they're not playing for keeps, right? They're in the same situation that Obama was in and stuff, which is we can nice our way out of everything, we can talk our way out of everything. It's all bullshit, that, and I know that. It's all a bunch of crap. But he was super excited today to find out this guy was born here. He's like, oh, God, thank God he was born here, right? That's fantastic. No, him being born here has nothing to do with it. He was radicalized here through the internet. And they're saying something like maybe New Zealand, some radicalization from things in New Zealand we drew inspiration on because there was an attack the other night. I think it was last night, night before. Again, they're like almost 20 hours ahead of us or whatever. So in New Zealand, they tried to run over some policemen, and he took some BS. I mean, it's just freaking whatever. That being said, that's what he's excited about. It's like, don't jump to any conclusions, right? Like, I mean, you know, he's got caught with an ISIS flag, and I know he's, you know, and we're searching for other people, and don't. Okay, that sounds great, but we're not going to jump to any conclusions. What we are going to do, though, is be honest about the fact that through your inactivity of protecting the border, through your asinine beliefs that everybody's here to be kind and helpful, through our ridiculous laws that allow you to come here and then be paroled into our country once you apply for asylum. Imagine going to Disneyland tomorrow and they catch you getting into Disneyland, and they're like, you gotta go. It's me, Mickey. Ha ha. Whatever, and then they say, oh, well, hold on a second. Like Wimpy from Popeye, I'll pay you next Tuesday. They're like, all right, you can go in now. And you can get us back later. Like we're going to come look for you later, though. Go have fun riding the rides. And if we don't catch you in 14 hours, it's stupid. The whole thing is ridiculous. And that is absolutely the most asinine thing over the last 3-4 years, because there are going to be people that are innocent that are going to die. There are people in this country who are going to pay the price for our stupidity, our kindness, and it is awful. It is. And it's funny because people are chatting in, some people on the, hey, Big Red, what's happening, man? And they're chatting in. Some people send me texts, this, that, and the other. Oh, what about this person and that person? Look, we've got enough shit here. We don't need to import more crazy. Like that, that's not something we need to do. We don't need to go, hey, I got a great idea. You know, it'd be better if we imported some crazy stuff. Like, what? No, that's not what we need to do. And this president and his administration has allowed people to come in here, and they've allowed them to get comfortable. They've allowed them to use our system, abuse our system. They've allowed way too much to happen. And to think that for the next 3.5, 4 years that we've allowed this to happen, that there weren't people that are coming here to do damage to the country. And I'm not talking about Frente Agua and these gangs. I'm talking about people who are seriously hell-bent. Those people are gang members. They're here to gangbang and mostly terrorize their own, which is vile and disgusting, but that's the reality of it. No, these people are here to do damage to the country, to do damage to who we are, to change our way of life, to get us terrified, which we can't do. We can't. So in the coming weeks, months, I mean, we all know at some point in time, something's going to happen. I mean, it's like me going tomorrow, I think there's going to be an earthquake at some point in time in California. Well, of course there is. The question is, a lone wolf, an attack from somebody who isn't really trained, isn't, yes, he was in the army, but he was in human resources. So it's not like they're like, this guy, he could be a ranger. I don't know. Or it could be a human resources guy. That's a good thing too. No, this guy wasn't trained in a way where some of these people that are here are trained in a way where they know exactly what they're doing. And this guy killed 15, and God knows there may be more by the time we wake up tomorrow. And what the hell does that look like? It is terrifying and it is sickening. And we as a nation have to do better. We can have compassion, but the reality is we need to get our heads out of our ass. And we need to keep it on a swivel. 100%. Because as I've told some of my friends who are uber progressive and want to see a more open border. So, dude, let me tell you what happens if you see a situation where there's a massive attack and kids are dead, women are dead, and people are terrified to do stuff. A lot of those same people that are progressive are going to say, you know what Trump needs to do? Build a giant fucking wall and put laser beam sharks on it and snipers, and don't let anybody in here, because we are a fickle bunch, but we will turn fast. And all of a sudden, compassion changes to we've had enough of this fuckery. So, a show back tomorrow, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. Pacific, 9 till noon. If you miss any show, make sure you grab my podcast, like and subscribe everywhere. Love it when you guys follow me. Let me know what's going on. And we'll be doing a lot more of these in the coming weeks and months. And then the show is going to be live for at least 2 hours for the radio show a day. So as far as the video feed. So love hearing from all of you guys. Follow along across all my social media. You guys have a good one. God bless you all. And be safe out there because, it's a new year and we want to see all of us have a new you, if you know what that means.